It's July 12th, 2023. Joined by my partner, Brian Kerner, to talk to none other than Lincoln Munger, the guy that nobody seems to know. I'm not sure if you knew that or not, but every time I'm asking for predictions and I say Tim Lewis versus Lincoln Munger, everybody just about has been like, I have no idea who that guy is.
Yeah.
So, who are you, Lincoln? Where you come from? How long you been pulling? Give me a little backstory.
Yeah. I'm from Tennessee, but I've lived all over. Live in Louisville, Kentucky. Train with Mike West, Austin Jaggers, and Brandon Simpson. So got a lot of experience and skill in town within 20 minutes. So, but I've trained with everybody. I've been pulling only 2.5 years. Pulled over two dozen events, and I've done one-on-one trainings with like all of the greats. Like I've been in Dave Chafee's garage. I've been hanging out with Devin. I've been in Chance's living room. Todd Hutchins. I've pulled on his TV stand. I've just had tons of really in-depth experience to make me fall in love faster and faster.
That's quite a team already that you got training with. So that obviously will help you make some moves real quick starting up. If somebody can jump out, just get into it, and jump onto a team,
Yeah.
is so much more beneficial, I think, that people realize. Um, so about the match with Tim, you mentioned to me a long time ago. I don't even know how far we were into prepping for Strongest Badge. I think I was asking you about Jaggers or something, and you had mentioned to me, hey, if you could find Tim Lewis, I'll throw him into a hook. I
Yep.
think it was almost word for word what you told me months ago, and it turns out that he did reach out to me, and the match sets up. You almost called the shot there, right? Did you know it was going to happen?
I figured he would reach out to you. It seemed like he would pull everybody, anybody that wants it. And I knew I needed more time. I've been wanting Tim Lewis for about 2 years, specifically training just for him because I know there's a hole in his game. Um, so I figured when I reached out to you, it would kind of come to a peak about the time when I think I'll be ready. And turns out I am, which is awesome.
Were you looking for him because he's, quote unquote the gatekeeper of the division, to where if because it's kind of like you beat Tim, then you belong, right? Is that what you were looking
Yeah,
for, or is it something else?
yeah, that's 50% of the reason. The other 50% is because he was one of the first pros that I got to grip up with, and he doesn't remember this. He doesn't know that he and I have pulled. It was at the Strongest Badge at the After Pool 2021. That was my third, I believe, event. And it was about 2 a.m. in the morning. We're both buzzed. We've been pulling for hours and hours. So this plays no, arm wrestling math onto our current match. But I was a righty back then. I didn't know how to pull left. And I put him in a hook, and he said, "Who are you?" And I just held him there. And ever since then, I'm like, man, I want to beat this dude. He's huge. He's a cool dude, and I respect him a lot. But I'm going to get to a point where I can do that in front of a crowd.
That's a good story, man. He does not remember that, I wouldn't think, because I'm pretty sure he had no idea who you were when I
Yep.
threw your name at him.
And the only two witnesses were Kevin Palco and Max Kapperman. And they were both buzzed too. I'm sure they didn't know who I was back then. So, and they might not now. But yeah, it was us three, and we were just still going late beers and pulling, and yeah.
Well, that's awesome, man. So
Yep.
So once I'm assuming you're planning on coming in here and making a name for yourself, do you have, not to look past Tim by any means, but after you get known, then what's on your agenda?
Yeah, I mean, if I beat Tim, it'll be a fluke, right? Because he's stronger than me. He's more experienced than me. I'm definitely the underdog. So I'm not, trying to call out like Cody Dollar or Matt Craig or anything like that after this. I'll get steamrolled. So after this, it'll probably be like a nice 8 month, find the next level, find more strength, and find the next target. it's not going to be, sprint to the top. It'll probably be 5 years before I'm in the top five, and I'm okay with that. But it'll be consistent progression.
Are you really going to throw him in a hook, or is that all just kind of a little smoke screen?
Yeah, yeah, he's going in a hook, and I'm going to get really animated when that happens.
What do you think, Brian? Is he telling the truth here?
I believe he believes he is. We talked yesterday for about a half hour on the phone, and I asked him what type of arm wrestler he was going to be identifying as at the tournament, and I loved his exploding hand theory. That he is very versatile. That he can do pretty much any of the moves, and he's like, at the end of the day, he goes, I might top roll in the first match, might blow his hand up the second match. But one in there, we're going deep into a hook, and I'm going to hold him and look at him. And I was like, I love the confidence.
I tell you what, man, that's not usually the spot people are wanting to go with Tim. It's just the spot that they end up.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So,
I've been there before, so I guess I'm just kind of horny to get back in there. So fingers crossed, doesn't go.
Yeah. How you feeling? Are you ready to go? I mean, we're right at the home stretch here, so training should pretty much be done, right?
Yeah, my last super match was January, and I really think that was the strongest I'd ever been. Right now, obviously I'm not trying to max anything. I'm a little bit lighter than I was then, and I feel crazy strong, especially left. My left is so healthy. And I don't know that I've made huge gains of strength. I know I'm stronger, but I think tactically calling out Tim made me evolve and adapt more, similar to how my right has. My right, can kind of go anywhere except for a hook. But my left will do whatever I tell it to.
So you're more of a predominantly lefty now?
Just by injuries, my left is healthy, so
it's just more healthy.
I think my right probably is stronger in general. It's never 100%.
Gotcha. So 100% is good. I don't know if anybody's ever that, or I'm not at least, but
yeah, Tim's not going to be, right? He's pulling John Hay Saturday.
I mean, but is that any different than normal? The guy pulls, 35 times a year, every year, as far as I know. So, I mean, normally, you would say that's probably too soon with Tim.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it matters. Maybe he's taking you light.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. If you're pulling the week before, you're not too worried about your next opponent. It's only a week later, so.
Yeah, I mean, Billy said the same thing about Scott Wynn.
Yep.
At Arizona State. So, I mean, a week after is tough for sure, especially in super match format. Things are a little more intense.
Especially if you have a massive, thick arm with a huge inner elbow and a hand that just begs to go backwards, right? Like, it's just lined up for worst case scenario.
Right. How tall are you?
So let me ask.
I'm 6'1".
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Brian.
So Lincoln, let me ask you this: what's your preference on setup? Do you like ref's grip? Do you like WAF grip? Or get your own strap? Like, what is your preference?
Yeah, this obviously isn't expected for strongest batch, but I like the "Are you happy?" I might have a little bit of rise over you. You might have a little bit of cup on me. But if we're both nodding our heads, then, say go. When Devin reffed my last match, that was a blast, right? This guy was all over my knuckle, and I didn't care because I had what else I wanted. So it was, I really like that style. Referee's grip, I don't think it matters. Tim's so slow, I don't think it matters. I'll get to where I need to be after the go, right?
Do you have a referee preference?
I haven't pulled enough events with those guys to really know. I think I like Sean. I've had him ref a few of my matches, so but no preference.
Gotcha.
Wrist, center.
Hey,
Whoever's to call intentional slips the strictest, whoever that person is.
Probably Sean and Leonard. I mean, all of them are gonna. All the three main refs are gonna call it for sure. I would assume so. I mean, Leonard, obviously, you'd want in there regardless, but I would say if you want Sean up top, I'm pretty sure Tim said Sean and Leonard as well. So, I mean, that would probably be the lineup. If you guys agree, that's what I would rather is you guys both agree, and I have those refs. We throw them in. You guys get what you want. If you talk to Tim, and now for the tournament, we're IFA 100%, right? But if you talk to Tim and it's something like that, you just talk to the refs, let them know. I mean, that's your match, right? You guys got money on that match. I got good refs there. You got a good platform for it to go right. But however you guys want to do it, man, you have the leeway to agree and make that happen. So,
I think I agreed with what he asked for. I think he asked for Sean up top and then her down ref. So I'm cool with that.
Awesome.
Well, you guys, that's the cool thing about, great events like what Bill's doing here is giving you guys, the pullers, the autonomy to do what you want to do. So if you guys wanted to start into a hook, you both agreed to start into a hook, hey, get after it, or you both want to start in ref script or start in every match in a strap. That's the great thing about promoters that are of this high caliber that allow you to do your own. So it's your own match. It isn't dictated by anybody else. It's what you two agree on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you guys got some money on this, right?
Yeah.
A couple $100 bucks?
200, yeah, 200 each. Not a ton, but.
Hey, that's a $400 win.
Yeah, it's good. Good
go a
gas
long
bill.
way in Ballpark Village,
So before we get too much into it, I want to throw out something. Don't get all blushy, Bill, but for anybody and everybody that's watching, I don't know if anybody realizes, one, just how difficult it is to put an event of this caliber together. All the phone calls, emails, texts back and forth just to get the super matches together, not to mention reaching out and marketing the event, whether it be on social media or just texting and calling individuals to make the event happen, getting the venue set up, getting the referees set up, getting the flyers, doing a podcast, doing these podcasts, getting everybody hyped up for it, and not getting a dime for it. And not to mention he's reaching out to the firemen in the police department. There's been a hell of a lot of work involved, and Bill's still jumping around, live streaming tons and tons of tournaments for us, and without any expectations. So for that, I personally thank you, Bill. And I know you and I spoke about that before, but people need to realize just exactly how much you do for the sport, and like I said, without any expectations for it. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Brad, for that. I appreciate it, but let's keep the
my
focus
Venmo
on Lincoln
handle,
here.
Yeah.
No, I do appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoy the event. I do put my soul into this thing, so hopefully that appears on the outside as well, and you see how it is. What do you think, Lincoln, of the Friday night arm fight portion of it? The fact that the matches are Friday night and not the day of the event.
I like it. The only downside is I typically roll with a big crew because I run my own club, and then we have two clubs within 20 minutes of us. So I'll get together a busload, and my boys can't come with me on Thursday to weigh in, right? So usually we make weigh in, we get an Airbnb, we split. So that's the only downside I see is for the actual athletes on Friday, which is a very small amount. It's like maybe a dozen of us, or whatever. But that's the only downside. Other than that, I like it. I like that I'm going to be able to relax on Saturday, eat whatever I want, drink whatever I want, and just cheer for my guys, right? And maybe I'll throw an arm in the brackets, YOLO like. But we'll see how Friday goes.
Gotcha. Yeah, I know that there could be issues, and especially if you decided to get into the tournament too, which it doesn't seem like you are on the left side.
Probably not.
But kind of like the Arnolds, when people would pull the Arnolds and they have to do the day and the day after, like for me, that would be freaking horrible. But from an event standpoint and how I had ran it, which I liked the way it was ran, it just makes the tournament drag out just a bit too long when you throw super matches in the middle of the amateurs and the pros. So It turns into where the tournament doesn't really last that long, but it seems like it does because you're having to put that in there. So we'll see how it works. I hope you get in and are able to pull some left anyway. Jump in the bracket because big brackets are fun, right?
Yeah, they are. I want to learn from a lot of the guys that are going to be there that like I haven't got a chance to pull with. Specifically, like Caleb Armbitter, his style is so him. Like nobody else pulls like a low hand hook. So I want to just kind of like pick his brain. So I'll probably be on the side table a lot learning. If I throw my right hand in, I'm just gonna really pull some cats out of the bag because it's not that healthy, but you never know when you can sneak out a, you know, flop king's move or something stupid.
Oh yeah. And what are you walking around at? I guess right at 210ish, 205.
Yeah, right around there. Yep. So a little water cut. I'm gonna say for the last few hours.
Was there a little bit of strategy involved in making the weight cap 205 for this match?
Yeah, I don't want to pull a 220 Tim Lewis. I don't want to get strapped to that. I don't want him to come in huge. But since he's not taking me seriously, I don't think he would have bulked anyways.
Does
Is what
Tim
it is.
get that heavy? I'm not sure he's ever really gets to 220, does he?
I don't know.
Does he really cut that much? I don't know. He looks like he's bigger than that sometimes, but
Yeah,
he just
his
seems to always make 200 no problem.
yeah his height is tricky.
Yeah,
If
but
he,
he's what, 5'7"?
And
yeah,
something.
yeah. If he doesn't care about the 205, it's whatever 210, 220. I don't care. But yeah, I just wanted to avoid mega Tim. I don't want to get strapped to the biggest Tim I've ever seen. That would be horrible.
It's I think we got Tim in the chat, and he says that he's been walking around at 211 last 2 or 3 months. So
Yeah. So at that point, he's not gonna bulk up anymore. I'm cool with whatever he wants to do. The 205 is just a preventative measure.
so what are the chances that Tim just top rolls you?
No chance of something. I don't think his arm could go that high. Like he would have to help him out to get over it. Yeah.
So let
Uh,
me ask you this, Lincoln. What do you feel that your obviously we know that Tim's got a insane sticky hook, and he's got an unusual, uncanny ability to pull in an awkward fashion and hold and actually drive back through. What do you feel are assets that you have aside from throughout the 2.5 years, all that experience? What do you feel are your assets? Do you feel like you've got a longer forearm, bigger hand, speed? Like, what are your big assets you think are going to be beneficial for you?
Yeah, I'm not that fast. I'm only slightly faster than Tim, which, speed, it just matters who's faster. It doesn't matter about how much, really. The height will definitely help if he's in that compromised position because I'll be on top, right? You can do a lot from the on top position with your torso up above. King's hook press, flop press, whatever. So I'll have a lot of options if I end up on top. My hand is generally my biggest asset, so I like top rollers because I can stop them, put them in a hook, and then either wait them out or just rip them straight over. Obviously, that doesn't matter much with Tim. I don't expect him to attack my fingers very much, so I'm going to be more using my hand to manipulate it into the positions that I hope to get him in. So yeah, this is my big two. The height will keep him on his belly if I can get him on his belly, and the hand will hopefully put him in positions to where I can get him on his belly.
Okay. And you say you love people to try and top roll you. Is it because of your speed to get bone on top with your cup, or is it your bottom two fingers that are just so dominant?
I think it's the bottom two fingers. Yeah, I deadlift a lot, and my left hand's my down hand, so I'll mix grip usually. And so my left, like I can, obviously not a deadlift, but I can rack pull like 800, and this thing's just like rock solid, from a rack. So it's pretty hard to bust. You got to be fast and kind of go out away from it. So Tim ain't doing that.
what about the stamina portion of it? Tim he could pull for days. Is that going to cause a problem for you, or do you think that you can outlast him?
I think my healthiness will be the key to that. The livelihood of my arm, the springiness of it, the fact that it really hasn't been beat up on since mid-June when I pulled with Andre Shark and Max Kapperman in Miami. That was the last time I let it really get hammered. So it's ready to go, right? I pulled a practice in South Carolina around that time, mid-June, and I pulled for like 3 hours straight and didn't get pinned a single time left. And I only pulled left because my right was hurt. And they were mostly amateurs, right? There was one or two pros there, but they're just going and going and going. And this thing was rock solid. I'm just pouring sweat, and it felt great. So
It sounds like you're ready to go for sure.
ready as I can be.
What type of, let me ask you one other quickie. So when you're out pulling or lifting weights, what do you feel is your best way to recover? Because I know that's one of the bigger topics out there, and there's a lot of newer pullers out there that obviously get the toothache in the elbow, and they're like, Christ, I don't want to do this anymore because it hurts like hell. What would you say to the people? Obviously, you're pulling a lot of events. How are you doing that, and what's your recovery look like?
Yeah, I think arm wrestlers are really afraid of like the hard work movements. Like I do a lot of front squats for elbow conditioning. That sounds crazy. I don't even squat half the time, but I just stack my arm, in as tight of a possible position, almost like a press, and just stand there with, several 100 pounds or sleds, farmers carries, running. I run to move blood. So when my arms are hurt too bad to train, I'll just, do core or legs or anything to move blood into them. That way I can recover faster. Hot and cold, the normal stuff, just intensively and obsessively. Creatine, BCAAs, and close grip bench is one of my favorites too. Similar to a JM press, but I actually don't like JM press. I like close grip bench more for the same reasons.
Did I hear something? I don't think I've ever heard it in arm wrestling. Did you say leg day?
Yeah, that's the
Okay.
reason.
I thought I heard that.
Yeah, I always struggle with weight because my legs are unfortunately huge. So for Tim, I've been running a lot, trying to lose some leg mass.
So you make him come down, and you come down with him.
Yeah, but I'm coming down off my legs. He's coming down off his neck.
Well, I love the confidence, man. It's good to have you on the show for sure. So I'd like to get your thoughts on these other matches that follow up. I don't know if you're aware, but you're the opening match of the
Cool.
entire event. So
Set the pace.
Set the tone, baby.
Pace, and you set the tone for sure.
Absolutely.
So following you up is Oscar Anderson and Joel Cagle. Are you familiar with those guys?
Yep, I've pulled with both of them. Oscar is really good in a strap. Like, it's annoying how much stronger he gets in a strap. It's been a long time since I pulled Oscar. I pulled Sam recently. Joel recently. I'm going to give it to Oscar on the strap game, but I really would like Joel to win. He's one of my good buddies.
Joel says he's ready, man. He's explosive too, which sometimes is Oscar's kryptonite. So it should be interesting.
And the levers are really different on that. Joel's is maybe 2.5 inches shorter. So if Joel wants to hook, he's got the hook. I'm just afraid Oscar's high hand top roll on a strap will be really hard to deal with.
Oscar's strong for sure. I've never gripped up with Joel, so I don't know what to compare that to. And I'm a righty generally, but I can't touch Oscar left-handed.
Yeah.
Not that says much. But.
When I was 176, Oscar pinned me one time at Brewski's. I pinned him out of the straps. He pinned me in the straps. So that was 2021, somewhere around there.
Interesting. You should be a different guy by then. You'd only been pulling for 6 months, right?
I think only 3 back then. That was early. Yeah, I was so green.
What about Sam Taylor and Caleb Velasco?
Man, I already said Caleb is like one of my stylistic favorites. But Sam Taylor just is a forklift and a little human body. So I'm going to say Sam wins. But again, I would prefer that Caleb won. But I think Sam will. There's too much rank difference, too.
Yeah, Caleb's coming on strong. I feel like it's his left hand that seems a little more dominant lately. I'm not sure if that's correct. And Sam I tell you what, man, he impresses me every time he steps out there. So
he does. Caleb has an intensity that is intimidating to a lot of opponents, but I think Sam will handle it really well. He's very cool and collected. So
Yeah, you watch Sam. I've pulled with Sam quite a few times. Only once in a tournament. I only got to pull him once in an event. But people don't realize just how damn strong that kid is. You look at him, you're like, okay, he's a junior accountant at a law firm or whatever. And then you grip up with him and you're like, what in the actual hell is going on? This kid's a beast. I think Caleb, I like you said, I like Caleb's fire, his panache. But I think he's gonna shoot his shorts when he grips up with Sam and goes and realizes that Sam just barely moves from center.
yeah,
Sam's just so strong and he's so tactical at such a young age.
yeah. I told Caleb I would corner him because he doesn't have a corner man.
Awesome. Yeah, I am gonna let everybody have one guy up on stage. I guess I'm gonna put a chair up there on each side, and they'll get their chalk, and they can have a corner up there. So
Water.
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, man, seems to be how everybody else is kind of rolling in that direction as well. We also got Cole Casper and Cody Vanderwood.
I don't know anything about Cody. I just know Cole is a monster. I assume it's left.
It's a right-handed match. Cody is generally righty, right, Brian? You're a little more familiar with Cody.
Yeah, Cody and I have been pulling together for the last 6.5 years. Cody doesn't have near the speed Cole does. So if Cole's going to win the match, he better flash him, because if the match stops, Cody is the last guy in the world you want to do a slow pull match with. I've had good success against Cody out of sheer speed and only speed. Like when we practice out at Bose, I feel like a child against him, except for speed. That's it. He's strong. He's got hella table IQ. He's a fantastic coach, but he just doesn't have the speed. And that's where Cole can win the match is speed. But like I said, if it stops, he's going to be really shocked.
And Cole's not like the fastest guy in the world, right? Like that's not he's more of a power guy as far as speed, right?
Yeah,
but he might be faster than Cody.
Yeah, he's fast. Yeah, he's faster than Cody. I've reffed him several times, like Illinois State, and even Strongest Badge when I helped ref a little bit there. He's substantially faster than Cody. I'd say 30 to 40% faster. But once again, it's all going to be determined on if Cody stops the match, because it's a whole nother game.
Well, and Lincoln, you made a good point of, it doesn't really matter how much faster you are as long as you're faster, right?
Yeah, it's like outrunning a bear. You don't got to outrun the bear.
You just got to be a little bit faster.
It's whoever's beside you. Yeah.
Who do you trip first? Yeah.
What about Californian Scott Wynn and Billy Croup?
I don't know anything about those guys. Haven't
Really?
pulled either. Yeah. I know of them, but never pulled them.
Gotcha. Scott Wynn's more of a... Well, hell, I guess Scott could do anything, right, Brian?
Yeah. Scott's an old schooler. Like, Scott does not believe in slip. He doesn't believe in the straps. He wants basically just straight raw cock power. And whether it be a top roll, whether it be just straight side pressure, Scott wants to hold on and go. Scott's a fantastic, been pulling since Jesus was a toddler. But I don't think he has any clue what he's coming up against in Billy Cripp. Like, Billy's hand and wrist are nuts.
Is Billy... Does he top roll? Does he take advantage of the ups? Is he sneaky?
No,
Billy's more of a top high hook
power
type dude. Yeah, he's strong. He's got a real good hand.
Those guys are so rigid on, don't slip, hang on, overpower. They're so annoying to watch because their potential is so high. Usually, if they would just, hey, I'm losing, let's elbow foul, right? Let's reset. Let's do it again. So that's really, really annoying to watch. Jaggers was like that for a while, and I'm like, dude, quit catching everybody, quit overpowering them. They want to eat you alive in the setup, so eat them alive first. So some habits we've been trying to teach, but it's hard to watch those matches.
Yeah, fresh for fresh, I would like to see the match, but with Scott pulling this weekend and then coming to mess with Billy next, I honestly don't see how you're going to beat Billy.
He may not pull, right? He said that the weight classes weren't that great for him. Maybe he just goes and hangs out. But here's the thing: you're not traveling, right? You're not going all the way out to an event and then hanging out at that event and not putting your elbow down on the table, right?
That's right.
I mean, you can't. I can't. I don't know. You got to probably see a table. I'm out there. I'm traveling. I'm probably pulling.
There's not enough arm wrestling to go for any other reason.
Yeah, that's tough. So I mean,
Yeah, there's cold beer everywhere.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it only takes a couple, and then oh yeah, your elbow's fine. I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with Bo Olson?
Yep.
What
Yep.
about Mirzad Kabanic?
Yep. Yep. I want Mirzad to win that. I like Mirzad. Yeah. I think Bo's got my experience, but Mirzad just wants it, right? He wants it so bad. You could tell he wants to get his name in the elites, and he's been gunning for it, and he's earned it. He's working hard. He's done, everything with his weight to put him where he wants to be. Yeah. Mirzad 3-0.
3-0.
50 on that.
The only reason I bet on my match is because that was the only way I'd get the match. I'm not a bettor. I'll buy you a beer.
All right, I don't drink, but I'll take a Diet Sprite. There we go.
Yeah.
Guys are all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
that's
Bo.
Yeah. Go ahead, Brad.
Oh, I was just gonna say, Mirzad from 18 months ago, where he was 109, he was pulling 95 classes, and now with this weight gain, and I believe he's done it very well. Like, I've got to see him at several events. He came out to my event, and he looks really good on his progression, but he's only been at that size, from what I understand, for not that long.
Mm-hmm.
Bo's been, anywhere from steady 220 to 235, and people don't have a clue just how dang fast Bo is.
Mm-hmm.
Bo hits like Corey Miller, and Bo gets positioned where he wants to. Bo's been pulling for 30 years. I don't think Mirzad has matured enough against a guy like Bo, who's a street fighter and can sniff out an alley. He can just sniff it out on the setup. He finds that, 2.4 degrees to hit at, and Bo's got so much chopping pressure. You just don't realize it until you actually grip up with him. I think Mirzad's doing some awesome things. I just don't think he's ready for Bo yet. So I see 3-0 the other way.
Mirzad's heavier, right?
Yeah, Mirzad, he's about 240.
Yeah, so not much, but
I'd
So-
say Bo's probably 230 or something.
hopefully that
228.
speed will only get him so far. If it's so hard to flash a whole super match. So yeah, hopefully I'll be pulling.
Yeah,
for
Bo's
Mirzad
a
on that.
powerhouse too.
Nothing against.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll see.
Mhm.
It's Mirzad's definitely swimming uphill.
Mirzad calling him out.
He's, I mean, not. He's just about 240. He's been about that weight. I wouldn't say he's bulking up.
No, did he call Bo out, or
Oh.
did they?
Actually, Bo asked for him. So I think Mirzad's up on the ranks on one of the ranking boards. So Bo, I asked him who he wanted. I did want to get him involved. I always want Bo involved in a card. He was involved from the beginning and has always been a supporter. I love the guy, and he's so exciting. So I wanted to get him on. I asked him, who do you want? Just let me know. I'll try to get him. And he came back and said, you know what, I've been out of the game for a little bit. It's hard for me to just call out who I want to, because he wasn't really where he wanted to be. So he's like, he gave me a group of guys. Mirzad was in it, and figured, Mirzad definitely wants the opportunity. So
Yeah, he likes a challenge.
yeah, he's always jumping in there and seeing where he's at. So. And I tell you what, he's put his head down and he has trained hard and well. He's coming in as much as everybody's saying Bo's the strongest he's been. Mirzad probably is too. So you're going to see 100% for both sides. So it'll be cool to see where they end up.
Yeah, that'll be good.
But we also have another Psycho Arm Sports fella, Jake Houston, coming in versus Kevin Palco at 165 on the right.
I don't know Jake Houston well, but it's hard to beat Kevin Palco.
It is.
165.
Falco's very active. Definitely
Yeah.
puts into work.
And he took off like what, a month or so since the big round robin. So I got to imagine that he's healthy and hungry again. And 165 allows him to be stronger than normal. Like, he probably won't fill that up all the way, but
Yeah, I think he was saying he'd be probably in the 160, 62 range. He was about 170, I think he said, during the Arm Wars match. And
wow.
he said it kind of hurt his stamina. His juice wasn't there, and he felt a little sluggish. So I don't think he wants to be that heavy. I'm
Sluggish.
expecting him to weigh in at like 161. That would be my guess.
Yeah. That's just funny. Sluggish at 170.
Right.
So what's your take, Bill? Who do you have on that match?
Well, I try to stay right in the middle, being the promoter, obviously.
Right.
That comes down to which Palco shows up, I think, first of all, because he's come out, like if you saw him at the Arnolds when he beat Roman, I mean, the guy looked damn near unstoppable. A crazy amount of power to catch Roman and hold him in the position he was in. It was so impressive to watch that. The Arm Wars match, how long he held that match in that position, even though he didn't come out ahead in that match, if I remember right. He's just got a crazy amount of stamina and hold power. And Jake, on the other hand, is just so damn explosive. So strong where he gets it. Reminds me a lot of Bo, kind of, in the fact that he's very fast and very powerful, which is a tough combination for a lot of people to deal with. You get out of position and then you're outpowered too. I don't think he's necessarily outpowering Palco, but if it's a even power and he's in a better position, obviously, leans to his favor. So,
Yeah,
we got to know
Kevin.
when Jake Houston shows up too.
Yeah, I've pulled Jake a lot. I've pulled with Jake a lot. I've only got to grip up with Kevin once, but just watching and knowing the caliber of guys that Kevin's pulled, because I've pulled similar people, I think you're 100% right on which Jake shows up. I mean, I think we know what we're going to get from Kevin Palco. We're going to get a top 5 rugged, hard-ass powerhouse with the ridiculous sticky spot and breaks.
Yeah.
If peak performance Jake Houston shows up with that tomahawk missile hit that I know he's capable of, he might get Kevin flashed before Kevin gets to put the brakes on, because Jake's got that power and he's got that speed. But the big question for me is, Jake is a lot like me, where if we get the first win, we're not the most versatile to where we're going to want to change what we're doing. Kevin adapts quickly. So that's where I could see it coming, Jake coming out winning the first one, and then Kevin stopping the second one. I don't know if it's best of 3 or best of 5. I don't remember.
They're all best of 5.
Okay, they're all best of 5. I could honestly see that one going 3-2 and coin flip on who wins that.
I think Kevin's like one of the best catchers in the United States as far as catching a dragster off a hit. So, yeah, if this guy is one of the best hitters at that weight, then I think Kevin's catching him.
Yep. I mean, yeah, it'll be good. I don't want to know if he's one of the best hitters. It's just a good power. It's a good mix. He's very, very good, very crafty. It's interesting. I like this match. Just about as much as I like the next match, which is Dalton Duncan and Austin Tevis.
Tevis is a freak.
Have you pulled both of them?
No, I haven't pulled either. I've watched him, Tevis especially. He's a monster. I don't know as much about Duncan, but yeah, I think Tevis takes that confidently.
Confidently. Interesting.
So, Bill, I'm sorry, I'll shut up after this, but I got to jump in on this one because this one's an important match for me.
You're supposed to be talking, man. Keep it up.
So when I first saw you post that, my first reaction is I sent Dalton a text saying, "What the call me now." That's all I said was WTF, call me now. He called me like 5 minutes later, and I go, "What in the hell are you thinking? Trying to think you're going to pull Tevis?" I'm like, "Are you crazy?" And Dalton, I was in his wedding. I love the guy to death. We're good buddies. And Tevis, obviously, he's a Kansas City boy like me. I practice with Austin an awful lot. On a good day, I'll get him 2 out of 10 maybe in the strap. People just don't realize just how incredible that kid's hand is. I mean, they just don't get it. And Dalton's a primary top roller. Mainly just a top roller. I only saw him hook once against Greg Allen at your event a couple years ago, Bill. And Dalton's, but the thing that ought to scare some people about it is Austin's obviously 95 out of 100 people are picking Austin all day because they've seen his work. They've seen his scope of work. I mean, Devin Bear, Corey Miller, Roman. I mean, Jesus, not to mention the guys in the 190 class. But what people forget about Dalton Duncan is, you're talking about a guy that flashed Doug Allen, 5 times, and they were calling BS elbow fouls on him. A guy that's 80 pounds heavier than him. Dalton strictly trains with Justin Bishop and the Bishop family, and they go back and forth a lot on their matches. Like, they go balls deep. I mean, they are hardcore against each other. And Justin Bishop obviously is, world-renowned stud himself. And when I was down for his wedding last year, I pulled Justin aside and I'm like, "Do you really feel this kid?" Because Dalton's a kid. And I'm like, "Do you really feel he's got everything to make, the top end of it?" And he's like, "If he gets out of his head a little bit, then absolutely." And I got to pull with him. We pulled on a picnic table, me and Dalton did, because we were both drinking at his reception, and that was just picnic table crap. But I also sat and watched at your event, Bill, a couple of years ago when we had such a stacked 76 class at the time. I watched Dalton pick and choose exactly what he wanted to do every match, and he did it exactly the way he said he was going to do it. And he actually asked me to be in his corner for this match, which is I'm going to take a lot of crap from the KP guys, but in my head, I'm totally all like, Austin's going to kick his ass just because I felt the power difference. But my heart's like, I don't know, this Dalton can pull some stuff out. I mean, he's superior in the setup by a long shot. So I don't know. It ought to be interesting. I mean, I still think Tevis is going to win, but I don't think he's going to smoke him like he thinks he is.
Yeah, Dalton came through and wrecked that event.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, it's basically, hey, I'm going to take your hand versus, no, you're not. That's exactly what it is. That's all it is. He's saying there's absolutely no chance you're taking his hand, and then the other guy's saying, I am 100% taking your hand, Yeah. And the winner of that wins the match probably,
There's only so many ways to take a hand, too. Like, you got maybe 3 different directions you could go at most, right? But if you get your hand taken, good luck. You're toast, So even if it's the last round and you get your hand taken once, it's going to be so much easier the next round for it to go back.
Yeah, you better have a strong ass pinky,
Yeah. And how long can it last? How many hits, right? If Dalton fouls and slips and fouls and slips and fouls and slips, you're at like 12 hits, right?
Yeah.
A lot of
and Dalton's lever link too. Dalton's lever link is going to could be an issue as well.
With you're saying with the 12 starts, I'll throw this out there: is Dalton had a super match with Billy Croup before that event, won 3-0, went through the right-handed bracket, which was there was like 9 of the top 15 guys in the country in that bracket. Went through that whole bracket undefeated, beat everybody in it, including Hyatt.
Yeah,
Josh
Dusty
Handler.
Hyatt.
I don't know if he beat
Greg
Handler,
Allen in a hook.
Greg Allen.
In a hook, yeah.
Yeah, and then in the overalls, he beat Brent on fouls because he had stopped Rockers and they were in a match and Rockers elbowed out. He ended up beating Rockers on fouls. But he was in that match. I mean, even after all of that, he was still doing what he does with that hand. So I mean, the stamina's there for that guy too. I mean, he's obviously there.
And he promised me he's the strongest he's ever been, which is kind of scary, seeing at his scope of work that he's got. And Austin needs to keep his head level at the match, because Austin, obviously, he gets fired up, and if you get pissy at the ref a little bit, he's got to stay. Austin has to stay focused on the match. Dalton will screw with his head. Dalton will be, they've already been smack talking a bunch online, and it's all in good fun. There's no anger involved with either one of them. But come match time, especially Dalton going up against number 2, I think, isn't that what Austin is, number 2?
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be pulling out all the tricks. He's going to be Devin Laird talking shit and getting into his head. And if Austin gets a little, if there's a little chink in that armor and Dalton wiggles his way in there, we all know it is part of a head game too. I mean, it's not just about muscle and speed. It's your brain, and then you're not reacting as quick because you're pissed off or this, that, and the other. And Dalton's damn good at that game.
Yep.
So I like the match. I'm really impressed. You put it together. You got a hell of a card, Bill. I mean, you really do.
On that one, I kind of got lucky. That was Tevis versus Dustin Hyatt. Hyatt had that opportunity come up for East-West or Armor.
East versus West, yeah.
Yep. And you got to jump on that when you do. So he let me know what was going on, and Duncan just jumped on the opportunity. So it's not a horrible backup match, that's for sure. I mean, it fits in the same. But I kind of got lucky on the setup with that. So, it definitely changed the atmosphere around the match, because there was a lot of shit talking right away, and Dustin Hyatt's not going to be doing that at all. So, but that was the main event for a while there. But we did find Brent Rockers a match with Scott Ballinger on the left side, and that one's very interesting to me because Ballinger is a freaking monster, and most times that I see him, he looks almost unstoppable. He came to Strongest Badge 3. He did lose to Doug Allen in a super match, but followed that up by defeating everybody after that, won both the brackets, all the overalls, swept everything, and Brent wasn't there that year. That was the year Brent missed. So Brent was overall champ in 2 and 5. Ballinger was in 3. And in 4, Brent had stepped out because he was in a real long match with Jarrett. Just didn't want to finish it out. So they're both monsters, and they're both coming in at about the same weight here. Ballinger's usually like a class up on him. But Brent's coming in about 217. I think Ballinger was 218. So what do you think of that one, Lincoln?
Ballinger's a monster, right? You can't discredit him for losing to Doug Allen left. So I think Brent has been really active, and Ballinger will exploit some chinks in his hand and wrists, and I think Ballinger will be fine.
Ballinger did just win Michigan State second year in a row. I'm sure he's had plenty of them, but the last 2 years he's only pulled left-handed because his right's been a little injured. I mean, those are huge tournaments, I think he beat Eli Broward to take gold. Brent also goes with Eli Broward pretty close. So I think they're matched up pretty good. Ballinger is so explosive off the start. Again, that's Brent's kryptonite sometimes. But, man, Brent lately has felt so strong. His left is very healthy. And it's tough. I mean, Brent's a teammate of mine, so I'm a little biased. But, man, I am a big Ballinger fan, and he is just a monster, just a flat-out monster. And it's, second generation on top of that. So,
yeah.
Well, and he's so humble too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
At the Battlegrounds 2, he had a super match. I can't remember who it was with. I want to say maybe Caleb Norton. And I learned real quick, like, don't ever try and pull a Ballinger unless you're that dude. So, yeah, those guys ran those brackets. They did phenomenally. I think, and Ethan Mercer did really well with Rockers recently, which there's no context to that. Rockers was probably exhausted, but just the fact that there was a stop on such a smaller guy, Ballinger's basically just a 30-pound bigger badass than Ethan Mercer. So, yeah, I don't know. Ballinger takes it.
Ethan Mercer just topped Tim Lewis though too. So
Did he? I didn't see that.
yeah, he beat him in a super match actually, best of 5.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've communicated with him a little bit about it, and
It was it was a deathly close match, man. It was an all-out war, a ton of starts. It was actually a real amazing match for both of
that
them.
kind of stuff is scary, man. He's that strong, and Tim gave him a lot of trouble. Like if he's getting stops on rockers, like I'm not getting stops on rockers. Like that's crazy. And then Tim at my event, the Derby City Classic, Tim beat Cody Smith, beat Landon Anderson. I've never pulled Cody Smith, but pulled Landon Anderson. He's a monster. He flashed Jaggers at an overall because Jaggers was trying to catch him left-handed. So I'm like, man, that math doesn't add up well for me. But I've, I've picked who I've picked, and there's a reason, right? He's not Landon or he's not Cody. There's different lanes that I think I'm uniquely gifted to take advantage of. But whew, the fact that Tim can do that well against some people is he has his moments.
No, for sure.
So Lincoln, let me ask you this, Lincoln. What are your obviously strongest badge? I hate to narrow it down to 5. Without question, top 10 tournament in the U.S. every year, no doubt about it. What are some other marquee events that you have not hit that are on your immediate bucket list? Say next 18 months.
Yeah, I want to hit Keystones for sure.
Mm-hmm.
That's one I haven't made it to. I haven't made it to any of the FAL events yet, and that sounds awesome to me. I know that there are so many. They're probably not huge, but I think they'd be just fun to pull with the Florida scene. The Olympia, speaking of Florida, I haven't made it to an Olympia yet. And I'd like to do that, and I'd like to get Jaggers in there especially. Other than that, there's some big state championships out west, like Arizona State, that are calling my name. Me and Jaggers have an unannounced huge event out west, so I'm hoping to get to pull with some of that scene coming up soon. We'll be making the announcement soon, but it's big. It's excitingly big. Yeah, those are the big ones. One of my favorite events I did actually was the backwoods or backroom bar event in Toronto that Devin threw, Taco, or it wasn't Devin that threw it. Umesh threw it, but Devin was there. And it was when Jaggers pulled Beer Man. That one was a blast because it was just me from America. Everybody else was from Canada, so they're all hating us. We're just fighting for our country. And Devin's like trying to place bets on the match during the match. But when Jaggers is down 0-2 to Beer Man, Devin's like $50. And then Jaggers came back, and it's 2-2, and Jaggers has an obvious, he's dominating at this point. And Devin's still like, let's do the bet. Come on, man, let's $50, let's go. But I don't bet. That event was just a blast because me and Devin were basically shit talking the whole night about how my boy killed his boy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite events.
So how do you go about developing your team? Are you utilizing social media, ArmBet? How did you develop a team, especially being so new in the sport?
Yeah, so when I first started, there was nobody to pull with in Louisville. Mike West is about 20 minutes north. So I started a club, right? We just started calling ourselves Derby City Arm Wrestling. I got on ArmBet. I sent a message to everybody within an hour. I sent them my phone number and my Facebook. I'm like, hey, reach out. And, we started with like 4 guys, and now we just threw a practice for July 4th, and we probably had 50 guys there.
Wow.
Yeah, we're killing it. And then a second club kind of started because it got more popular in the city. So Caliber Arm Wrestling started across the river. They're doing great. We collaborate on every Tuesday, so our clubs practice together, and we'll usually have, between 5 and 10 of each club together. And then Mike West Club trains on Saturdays, so you can hit 3 or 4 practices a week in Louisville and the surrounding, 30 minutes, no problem. But mostly just Facebook and networking, people trying to get people from work, and people send people to me, as weird as that sounds. Like in Kentucky, somebody's like, hey, I'm trying to get into arm wrestling. Everybody's like, you need to hit up Lincoln. Lincoln will, connect you. And obviously I talk with a lot of other arm wrestlers, and I like to network. So I'll plug them in, wherever I can. And I'm always trying to pull when I'm out of town, or I'll go out of town, even an hour out of town for work, and I'm like hitting people up in Elizabethtown, I'm like, hey, let's meet up, let's pool.
Right on. And I've got Bill. I'm sorry, I'm just in a good
No,
mood
go
today.
ahead, man.
It's a rare occasion. So, Lincoln, a couple other questions for you, buddy, just so everybody knows who the hell you are after you put your ass whooping into play here. What do you do for a trade?
So I do claims handling, roof claims handling, and solar sales.
Okay.
So it's not exclusively roofing sales. It's more helping homeowners get their roofs approved and covered.
Gotcha.
So kind of salesy, but not like sleazy salesy, which is what I like.
Strong armsy.
Yeah, yeah. I spend a lot of time on roofs. I do some repairs. I don't work much with my hands, but the hot asphalt does keep my my calluses right. So I always make sure I sear them every time I'm up there to keep them thick.
Yes, sir. Okay, and another question is for obviously super match is going to be a little bit different training regimen than regular just training, and you're just staying in shape and you don't have anything on the books. So, what is your training regimen like? How many times do you want to practice a week versus gym time? Like, what's that look like for you?
Yeah, it depends on what the goal is. Like if it's just a tournament, I want to get 2 table times a week minimum, 3 if I can, and mix of that will be speed drills. Sometimes I'll do like an only hook day where I'm only hooking, and then I'll do an only top roll day. And then with the newer guys, I'll pull out the funny moves. Like I'll practice kings moving and flop pressing and stuff. I'll tell them like, hey,
Can opener.
Yeah, what do you want me to do to you? You try and counter it, right? I'm going to flop. Are you ready? Boom. And so that's how I like to do my table times. It's really fun that way too for them because they're learning. Hey, it's not just backwards and sideways. It's all of this. He's going to do a lot of different stuff. For Tim specifically, I know I need power because Tim's going to want to get tied to me. He's going to want to get strapped. So I'm building a lot of bicep. I haven't been focused on my hand as much as I have the bicep connected to my riser. In the event that we go into a hook, palm up bicep, a lot of shoulder, and a lot of mobility stuff. That way I can keep my elbow nice and tight, but still kind of flip my wrist around to wherever I need it to be. And a lot of grip. So pinching, farmer's carries, hangs, and calisthenics, so that when he tries to slip, I just take those fingers with me to the pad.
So do you believe in doing any grippers, or do you believe in doing any of the donuts? Like, do you believe in any of that? Because I've heard mixed reviews on it. I love the donuts. Love them.
Yeah, I do those. I don't have a donut, but I would use it if I bought one. I should buy one. I use the grippers, and I use the finger extensors that pull backwards.
Yeah. Stretch out I
use those a lot, mainly because no amount of gripper, if you're using a reasonable weight, or extensor is going to make you not go to practice or the gym, and it's never going to make you sore, right? Enough to where you can't train. So every time I'm driving, I drive a ton for work. I'm just hitting them. I'll be on a roof, standing there doing extensors or cracking my gripper. So it's always something. I got bands in my car and handles and stuff, but just always some sort of movement to keep it flushed and fresh. And as long as I'm not training so hard in between trainings that I skip training, then I'm going to do as much as I can in between those.
And what was that other blasphemous thing from earlier? Leg day. That's right. How often do you do that thing?
Only when my arms hurt so bad I can't train arms. So I'll usually deadlift like twice, 2 or 3 times a month. It's also kind of like my most relaxing workout. I just really like to deadlift, and I'll do sleds and a lot of lunges. I don't back squat just because I have a bad knee, but I do like to do some heavy deads.
You mentioned the extensors that you do, the backwards ones. Do you do any like reverse curls or anything else backwards from the normal arm wrestling motions?
Yeah, I do reverse curls on a preacher pretty often, really low. I've actually been doing them this week because that's one of my recovery pieces. Really low weights, like less than 90 pounds for like 25 to 50 reps, just as much as I can. The injury in my right seems to respond well to backwards motions, so I've been doing a ton to rehab, try and get that tendon healthy again.
Awesome.
Well, I know I don't have any more questions for you other than I am really excited to see the match. I'm glad I'm going to be front row right there to to get to see it. I am beyond shocked and impressed with your arm wrestling acumen for 30 months in the sport. Like I'm beyond impressed. I mean, you speak very eloquently about it, and you're not just bullshitting. You know what you're talking about, which is refreshing because it shows me that you've got that passion and love that you're deep diving in, and you know exactly what you're speaking about. That you've got a team around you, and you've got all the support around you, and it sounds like you've done a lot of that building yourself. And it's really cool that you got such high level people to get to work with too. With, I mean, Brandon Simpson's an absolute stud. Everybody knows that. You don't become an Arnold's winner not be a stud. Mike West. I mean, come on, guy's like an 86-time national champion. I mean, let's get real here in Austin. There,
short,
like
I'm
really impressed. I'm really impressed with your resume, and I actually got to watch. You know, I told you earlier today when we were chatting, I didn't realize you were in Tulsa when I was there, and you did that. Like, I remember the super match vividly. I just didn't know you. I didn't know who you were. I didn't shake your hand, and I didn't know who the hell you were. But yeah, I was sitting next to Underwood as he was commentating, and it was a great match. I mean, it was a 3-2, and it was a really, really good match, and it was exciting. And I'm like, who the hell is this guy? And it was really cool because you had that perfect balance of a little bit of cockiness but fun. You know, you got those guys that are just dicks, that are just screaming all and acting stupid, but you both were having fun, but you didn't carry it away. You know, it never got carried away, and that to me is great. Like, I think that's fantastic.
I want to show you.
Props to you.
I want to show you a souvenir from that match. Give me about 15 seconds. I'll be right back.
You got it.
Okay.
What do you think?
Glad he didn't drop his shorts. I was glad he didn't drop his shorts.
What do you think he's bringing us?
I don't know. I don't know if it was a strap or a shot glass or I don't know. I don't know what could it be. I don't know.
I'm not sure either. Man, I tell you what, we're getting close to this thing, man. It's only like
Dude, I'll tell you what, Bill. I've been on the bench for a while. I've been sitting on the bench for a while, and my right arm feels damn good, and I'm ready to help stir that 72 class up pretty good.
Nice. It should be a good one. So.
Yeah, I'm excited.
What do you got for us, Lincoln?
So my wife is getting it because I don't know where she put it, but she's going to bring it here in just a second. If there's any OGs in the chat from that, Robert Kelly might know what it is, but there was a huge bet around that match, me versus Matt Rundle. And a part of the, fun and animation was around that bet. And I've kept it for times like this. So you'll see it here in a second. But if anybody in the chat can guess what it is. Yeah, there we go. It's right here. I've never opened it. From Matt Rundle. Never opened it. For fear of what he may have put in here instead of what it was supposed to be.
Yeah, hopefully it's not ricin poisoning or anything like that.
Robert Kelly just so we had a bet. The loser had to shave, right? So it was my beard versus his nasty ponytail white boy dreads. So we shaved them on live stream with oh good, it's in a bag with Beer Man. Let me turn the light on.
Oh, that's awesome, bro.
Oh, we could see him. He could have had the light on the whole time.
There it is. That nasty.
All that from a Brazilian wax. Wow.
Good Lord, right?
So you know what I have to do when I beat Tim? I'm going to take his $200 and put it in this bag of souvenirs.
You got to have your wall of fame.
Yeah. I got Corey Lee's pinky where I ripped it off mid-match in the other room.
Well, I tell you what, man, I wish you luck in your match. Hopefully after this event, people won't be asking who Lincoln Munger is, and everybody will know. I guess that's the goal, right?
Biggest statement. Yeah. I'm grateful that Tim will give me a chance to do it, right? He could have said no. He doesn't know who I am. So
he could have, but that would have been strange.
Yeah. But why is he scared of this dude that nobody knows?
Yeah, I'm not sure he says no or is scared of anybody. I think that guy's main goal is to pull everybody on the planet.
He's pulling a super match this Saturday. That's madness.
Yeah, that's nuts. I didn't know that.
I pulled John Hayanowski just a few weeks ago. Like I know exactly where I'm at with John. So that's like free data. That's like the most accurate data I could get without actually touching him. So that's
For
perfect.
sure.
He's a 154 guy, but he's a fierce, he's got
Oh,
fierce
he's a
legs.
monster. Yeah.
So I got to pull with him at Chafee's house in I don't know, May or something like that with Tyler Noblet. You know Tyler Noblet? He's the dude that broke both his arms last month.
Oh,
Oh yeah, I know of him because
Oh.
of that. I was hearing the story. So
yeah.
He broke
unreal.
his wall at my 4th of July practice party. It wasn't even a ready go. He was just over there, pressing, and it wasn't even really a bad position. But there was some like side effects from, a medicine he'd been on for a while. So lowered his bone density. But anyways, we were up there with Chafee, practiced with John. So looking forward to that little data bite right at the last second.
There you go. It sounds like you're ready to
Yeah.
go, and I agree with Brian. Man, the passion's there. It's good to see. Looks like you're going to bring some excitement here. So train safe the rest of the way through. Safe travels up, and we will hang out shortly, my man.
Yep. See you Thursday.
Thanks, man.
All right. God bless you guys.
Thanks, Brian.
Take care. Bye bye.